Which World is Real? Written by the Unknown Ghost. Now, I've never really bothered to think much about the apocalypse or the end of the world. There are always things happening that makes everyone go on the apocalypse train. But as for me, I've never really paid much attention to any of it. So many things have happened throughout history, and the world has always kept on spinning. People always returned to their normal everyday routines and quickly forgot about what had happened. Maybe if I had paid a little more attention, I wouldn't find myself in this predicament. Now I live on Earth, or, well, I'm trapped in some sort of parallel dimension. But it seems like I can still get some messages out to the other unaffected Earths. It all started when I woke up one morning and I realized it was very nice and quiet outside. Well, it is generally very quiet where we live. But on this specific day, it was really quiet. Almost too quiet. But I didn't think much of it. My girlfriend went on another trip for the week, so I was home alone with all of our pets. I got out of bed and got dressed. I went through my normal routine to put out food for all of our cats and dogs. I filled their bowls up with clean water and I made myself a cup of coffee. The cats and dogs, though, didn't run out to join me or to eat. But I figured they were probably just tired and sleeping in. So I went to sit on the veranda to have my coffee and a smoke when I remembered that I needed to feed the birds. So I got up and I grabbed a cup of food and filled up the bird feeder. Then I got back to the couch to enjoy my coffee and my smoke. It's usually very inspiring to watch all of the different birds to come to eat. But none came. So, after finishing my coffee, I got up to take my shower. After my shower, I noticed that the cats and dogs had still not come for breakfast yet. I mean, really, guys, come on, it's breakfast time, I said. I went into the bedroom to find them, but they were not there. I started to panic, and I looked everywhere for them. I know they couldn't have gotten out of the house during the night. And if they came out after I got up, then they would have eaten by now. So I looked everywhere for them, but to no avail. After a few hours of looking, I finally gave up. And then I realized that not even a single bird was active. I tried reaching my girlfriend on her phone, but nothing. My messages weren't going through. That is when it hit me. There were no sounds anywhere. Not even insects. No cars on the roads. Usually when it's quiet, you can hear cars on the roads passing our small town. But today, there was nothing. I decided to take a walk through town to see if I can get answers from other locals. But it was dead quiet. I could see cars in their driveways, doors open, bags standing in their driveways as if they were in a rush to leave. But there were no people, no animals, no birds. Then I went back home and I checked my emails and messages. No emails had come through since when I went to bed the previous night, which is weird. I usually spend about 20 minutes in the morning deleting spam that arrived during the night. I checked my messages and I found a notification on our local security group that read, "Attention everyone, the authorities have alerted us of some strange events happening. They don't know what's causing it, but the phenomenon has been described as some translucent humanoids that seem to turn everything into ash that they touch. Please stay in your homes and do not attempt to leave until sunrise. Please heed this warning as it is not a joke." What is this? I thought. Why haven't I seen this earlier? I went back outside and I tried to find any signs of life. I could see strange, almost translucent humanoids a bit further down the road. I remembered the message and I decided to hide and watch them. Then I saw them approaching what seemed to be a young man. He had a gun in his hand and he shot at one. The bullet went right through it, but it did drop to the ground. He shot a few more of them, but they just kept coming. As I'm unarmed, all I could do was sit and watch. He finally ran out of bullets, and then they got to him, and the moment they touched him, he screamed and vanished into thin air. Just a few particles of dust remained, which got blown away by the wind. What is this? I thought. I made my way home and I got back into the property and made sure to lock everything up again. Just as I sat back down on the couch, I heard a rattling on the front gate, like someone was trying to get my attention. I crept through the house and I went to the window in the one bedroom where I can get a peek through it. Whatever it was strong, but the gate was holding up. I could see something standing there, but it was translucent and I couldn't get much. Okay, it seems like as long as I stay on my property, I'm safe, I thought. I checked my supplies and I noticed that I only had enough for a few weeks. And who knows how long we are still going to have power for. I'm gonna have to go out sometime to get more supplies, and hopefully to find more survivors, I thought. That all happened a few days ago. A few days have passed and we've had some crazy weather here, but I've learned a very important lesson. The rain and mist seem to affect their abilities to camouflage a bit, and you can see them a bit clearer. The next storm is building up, so I'm preparing to go out and see if I can find more supplies, and hopefully a power generator and some fuel. Oh, and luckily I did find our pets eventually. They were all hiding under the beds and couches. So now I don't feel so alone anymore. It seems that animals can somehow sense when these things are close by, and then they hide. That's a good sign. If I pay attention to the signs, I will survive. I've also noticed when the mist comes, there seems to be a little bit more activity. A few birds seem to come out and look for food, and the wild horses get active and runs through town. I've even seen a wild horse kick one of the creatures, killing it instantly. So that helps. If guns can kill them, a kick from a wild horse can kill them, then it means that I might have a chance to survive till I can find a way out of this nightmare. I did manage to find a few generators and collected quite a bit of fuel and other supplies. I'm still trying to find weapons to defend myself, but for now I move around in the rain and when it's thick mist. When possible, I stick close to the horses when they are around, as it seems like these creatures are evading the horses now. I actually just ran into another one that was killed, but this wasn't by a gun or by a wild horse. It seems like it was bitten by a snake, as I found a dead snake next to its body. So that's one more weakness. It must have died very quickly when the snake bit it, or its body wouldn't be right next to the snake's body. And again, that's good news for me, as I know how to catch and handle snakes. At least now I know that these beings are not ghosts or spirits, but they are some physical beings. I'm still trying to figure out where they came from and what they want. They don't seem to remove their dead compatriots' bodies, so they obviously are not human or of this earth. I've learned that they mostly stick to moving around in the roads. They don't go into the rocks or the forest, as that's where most of the animals seem to have settled. Well, I've just learned a very important lesson. I can see them when it's raining and the mist is out. But the important thing is that they don't seem to be able to see me at all, so that gives me another advantage. It has now been a few weeks of learning about them and ducking and diving to find supplies. But luckily, I've still got our pets at home to keep me sane. I still haven't found any other survivors. Strangely enough, we still have power. You would have thought that by now the power stations would have failed, which gives me hope. It means that more survivors are out there. But getting anywhere is impossible. I've finally learned that they were from off-world, as I've managed to make out one of their ships moving over us. It was also cloaked. But I first heard a strange vibration sound, and when I looked up, I could make out its shape. It moved slowly, but as it moved through the mist, I could make out parts of what it looks like. I'm not sure how many of these ships are here on Earth, but if there are even just a few hundred of them, then, well, that will explain why we lost. How do you fight something that you can't see? It does seem like the ship collected the roamers in the area, as more birds and animals have now returned. I've tried to make it to the nearest city, but I ran into one of the things and it shot at me with some kind of weapon. Luckily it missed, but it took out a few trees behind me. I've spent a few days looking for weapons, and I've decided on bows and arrows as they are silent. A gun would just draw too much attention. I've still had no communication from anyone. Social media is dead quiet, and I've found a radio, but all I can find is static. So I'm starting to really feel alone here. I woke up this morning to the sound of a roaring engine. It sounded like a helicopter, so I ran out and onto the roof to get their attention, which I did. They dropped a flash drive down and said to follow the instructions on it. So I ran to my laptop and opened the flash drive. On it was a video and a document. I decided to watch the video first. It was made in what seems to be a military interrogation room. They seemed to have managed to catch one of the invaders and unmasked it. It looked like us. It was a human wearing some sort of armor. Its gloves had some sort of system which they demonstrated on the video that puts out a high charge. That's what turns anything that they touch into dust. He or she seems to be able to speak English and answered all of their questions freely. They were from a parallel Earth, and their mission is to clean up different versions of Earth and recolonize it, as they have advanced so fast and overpopulated their Earth. I could now make out that it was a woman from her voice. She explained that they also only target versions of Earth where they can see humanity are destroying themselves and the planet. She had some sort of device with her which she explained can open gateways to other Earths, and they can pass through freely. They first send in their groups of troops, and once they've wiped out most of the humans, their crafts come through. And then they start the colonization process. They set up permanent gateways which allows their people to move between their world and the colonies freely. The guy behind the camera then asked her, if they are so advanced, why do they not just terraform other planets and explore space? Why attack other versions of Earth and kill other versions of themselves? She then explained that they have tried that, but they ran into more powerful extraterrestrial races and lost all of the battles. They lost hundreds of ships in the first battle and a couple of thousand more in the follow-up battle. She said they had to rethink their strategy and make another plan. So they developed technology to move between different versions of Earth. Just then, I heard the woman's voice coming from behind the camera. Her double asked her, "How does the technology work?" The invaders smirked and said to her Earth double that since they were the same person and both only soldiers, she doesn't know. But she gives her word that when her people come to rescue her, she will make sure that they don't kill her double, but instead take her Earth double to one of their ships where they can demonstrate their abilities to her. She continued to tell the man behind the camera that he and his whole team were welcome to join their ranks, that they are always looking for good soldiers. He stayed quiet for a bit. I guess he was thinking of his options. Then he asked her, "But what about the rest of the survivors left on Earth?" She smiled and said that the fact that they survived for so long makes them worthy of recruitment into their ranks. She then finished off by dropping the final shock on them, that they hadn't captured her. She was sent to give them this final ultimatum. He then said that if she gives her word, then he would accept. She then passed him a flash drive and said that it contained the instructions for the survivors on how to surrender peacefully for recruitment and reconditioning into their ranks. After this, he turned off the camera. I then opened the file and I read through it. I'm not gonna go into details, it would take forever, but I will give you guys a short explanation of what it said. So basically it states that we have agreed to surrender to be ruled by the interdimensionalists. And then it goes on to explain that the survivors will have 3 choices. All 3 choices means that we will basically belong to them. The choices are as follows. 1. Those with skills to keep the system going will be allowed to remain in their positions and in their homes on the conditions that they report to sector overseers, as well as follow curfews. 2. Those who have fought back will be integrated into the military ranks and implanted with mind-altering chips, as well as body modifications, and they will be prepared for future invasions. 3. Those who are still hiding are ordered to come out and surrender to local overseers. They will be sent to the interdimensionalist prime dimension where they will be trained, conditioned, and prepared to fight missions to infiltrate potential dimensions. So, yeah, no thank you. None of those sound like a good option that would work for me. I needed to think. I needed to think fast. Just then, my cell phone rang, which shouldn't be possible as the network was down. I answered the call, which only said ID withheld. But I didn't say anything. I decided to listen. It was a woman's voice on the other side. The same woman from the video. She spoke and said, "Listen to me and don't interrupt. Our scouts know about you, but the interdimensionalists don't. We have a plan to escape and to survive. They have the technology to move between dimensions, and we have managed to get our hands on one of their ships. We're busy trying to gather as many survivors as possible to rescue. We have found a dimension where they won't follow us for at least a few years." That's when I spoke up. "Why do you think that?" I asked. "They took our world within a few hours." "Because we didn't have the weapons to fight back, or the means to detect them. But the Earth we are going to does. They are not as advanced as us in terms of their medical fields and their unity, but they have weapons and armies that can stop the interdimensionalists. And another thing, we know you lost your partner. We have good information that she's still alive on the Earth where we are going to, and your counterpart is busy dying. So, what do you say? Don't you want another chance with her?" I kept quiet for a bit, and then I asked my burning question. How do I know that this is not a trap? She then burst my bubble. "We have been watching you for a while now. You have stood your ground. You have survived their weapons. You have taken quite a few of them out in very creative ways. I have to admit, using bows and arrows seemed primitive, but is very effective. And using venomous snakes against them? How did you even know that that would kill them so quickly?" I didn't know what to say. Then she spoke again. "Our scouts are out at your gate ready to collect you. I'm sure that you understand that time is of the essence. Bring only what you care about most. Everything else you need will be waiting for you at your new home. Or, well, the same house, just in a different dimension. See you soon." Then she hung up. Well, she said that I must bring what I care about most. So I grabbed all the cats and dogs and I made my way out. I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting what I saw. It wasn't a military vehicle. Instead, it was some UFO-looking vehicle. The soldiers told me to get into the back, and one of them smiled and said, "This is a first. Everyone else brought jewelry and so on. You brought your pets and pet food. Oh well, time to take you to your new home." We all got in, and then the pilot turned around. It was the woman from the video. Well, not exactly. It was her Earth counterpart. "Are you ready for a new life?" she asked. I guess so," I replied. "Well then, let's go. Just one more thing. You can never discuss anything that has happened where we are going. Fit in, live a normal life. Leave the war to the soldiers," she said. She then turned around and took the controls. The vehicle went up into the air, and the next moment, everything became a blur. I woke up from one of the soldiers shaking me by the shoulders. "Hey man, you're home. Go and have a new life. Your counterpart here has died a few hours ago, so you will take its place. Don't worry, nobody will notice. It's now been a few years since I moved to your dimension. Everything is almost exactly the same. It feels great to be with the woman that I love. It still feels weird that we both died, yet here we are. But the reason that I'm telling you all of this is because I need to get a warning out. What happened on my world is coming. I can see the signs. Reports of unknown flying aerial vehicles. People disappearing more regularly. Strange lights in the sky. Reports of strange humming sounds. All of that is them. They are preparing their invasion. And unless people are ready, your world will end the same way my world ended. Prepare yourselves. The interdimensionalists are coming. They are already here.